The sign on the corner said $3.84 last week. This week it says $3.94. You haven't filled up yet. You haven't bought anything, but you've already had the feeling, that small drop in your stomach that says the economy just got worse. I get it. I drive past the same kind of sign. So let's do something useful with that feeling. Let's take 1 gallon, $3.94, and pull it apart piece by piece. Where does that money actually go? Who ends up with it? And when does it show up in your grocery bill? Because here is the strange part. The price you feel the most is not the price that costs you the most, and almost nobody sits down and explains why. First, the news, quickly. According to AAA, the national average for regular gasoline was $3.84 on July 9th. A week later, on July 16th, it was $3.94, up 10 cents in 7 days. The reason is a shipping lane, the Strait of Hormuz. In mid-July, fighting between the United States and Iran flared up again, and traffic through the strait collapsed. 57 transits over a single weekend, down more than half from the week before. Before this conflict started, around 130 ships passed through there every day. Crude oil turned back upward. Pump prices followed. Now, I want to be honest with you about the size of this, because that honesty is the entire point of this channel. 10 cents is real, but that same national average peaked at about $4.55 back in late May. So today's $3.94 is still well below where it stood 2 months ago. Which makes the interesting question a completely different one. Not how much did it go up, but why does 10 cents up feel heavier than 60 cents down? Hold on to that. We're coming back to it. First, the gallon. When you pay for a gallon of gas, you are not paying one company. You are paying 4 separate things, stacked on top of each other. The Energy Information Administration, the United States government's energy statistics agency, tracks all 4 of them. Across 2025, on average, it broke down like this. Crude oil, about 51%, just over half. Distribution and marketing, about 18%. Taxes, about 17%. And refining, turning crude into something your car can actually burn, about 16%. One caveat, because averages will lie to you if you let them. Those shares move around a lot. In March of 2026, crude was 57%, refining 21%, taxes 14%, distribution 8%. Same 4 buckets, very different split. But look at the biggest one. Just over half of what you hand over is to crude oil itself. And that price is not set by the station you are standing in, not by your town, not by your state. It is set on a global market by supply, by demand, and by a shipping lane on the other side of the world. Which means that when the number on the sign jumps, the one person you can actually see, the owner of that station, is the one with the least control over it. Now the tax slice, because there is something here that runs backwards from how most of us assume it works. The federal gas tax is 18.4 cents a gallon, not 18%. 18.4 cents, a fixed amount, and it has not changed since October of 1993. State taxes averaged about 33.5 cents a gallon as of January 1st this year, though the range is enormous, about 9 cents in Alaska, close to 71 cents in California. Here is what fixed does. Because those taxes are cents per gallon and not a percentage of the price, the tax share moves in the opposite direction from the oil price. When gas is cheap, tax is a bigger slice of what you pay. When gas is expensive, tax shrinks as a share. You are not paying more tax, you are just paying more for everything around it. So when the price spikes, almost none of that extra money is going to the government. It is going up the chain toward crude and refining. That is not an opinion. It is arithmetic. It is just arithmetic that nobody prints on the sign. Now, the thing you have definitely noticed. Prices go up fast and come down slowly. You're not imagining that. Economists have studied it for decades, and they gave it a name that tells you everything: rockets and feathers. Prices rise like a rocket and drift down like a feather. The formal term is asymmetric price transmission, first documented by an economist named Bacon in 1991. Why does it happen? The research points to several things at once. Sellers hold some pricing power, supply chains get shocked, and there is something called an inaction band, a range where a change in the oil price is too small to be worth resetting your prices for. The studies find that band is lopsided. A small increase in crude gets passed along quickly. Crude has to fall a lot further before the pump price comes down. And then there is us. When prices are climbing, we shop around. We notice. We compare. We drive the extra half mile to the cheaper station. When prices are falling, we relax and we stop comparing. That difference in our own attention is part of what keeps the feather floating. I want to be careful here, because this is the point where the easy version of this video blames the guy who owns the station. The research does not support that. What you are looking at is a structure, market power, contracts, inventory, and human attention, not a villain. So, back to the question. Why does 10 cents up feel worse than 60 cents down? Think about how you actually experience prices. Your electricity rate? You see it once a month on a bill in small print. Rent once a month. If eggs go up 30 cents, you might not notice for weeks. Gasoline is the only price in your life printed in numbers, a foot tall, on a lit sign, on a corner you drive past twice a day. You do not have to buy anything to be told the price. It is simply there every single day, whether you needed to know it or not. Economists have a word for this: salience. Gasoline is highly visible, bought frequently, and easy to compare, so it becomes the number people reach for when they are asked how expensive life has become in general. And for decades, the research showed exactly that. When gas prices moved, people's expectations for inflation overall moved with them. Now here is the part I would leave out if I were trying to sell you a tidy story. That link broke. In 2025, researchers at the Kansas City Fed found gasoline prices falling, while inflation expectations went up, driven by what people expected tariffs to do. Their estimate, if the old relationship had held, inflation expectations would have been roughly 1.5 percentage points lower than they actually were. So the honest version is this: gasoline is a loud signal, and for a long time it set the tone. But it is a signal that can be drowned out by a louder one. And then there is the number that reframes all of it. The Energy Information Administration estimated that in 2025, American drivers would spend less than 2% of their disposable income on gasoline, the lowest share since at least 2005, setting aside 2020. The average over the previous decade was about 2.4%. Now, hold that up against the feeling. The price that moves your mood the most is one of the smaller lines in your budget. That is not a criticism of anybody. It is a design problem. It is the one price we are shown constantly, so it does far more emotional work than its size deserves. It also helps to know what a real oil shock looks like, because that is the story sitting underneath the way everyone talks about this. In October of 1973, Arab members of OPEC placed an embargo on the United States. Crude went from about $2.90 a barrel to $11.65 by January of 1974, nearly 4 times in a few months. At the pump, gasoline went from roughly 34 cents a gallon to around 84. But the price is not the part people remember. States brought in odd-even rationing. If your license plate ended in an odd number, you could buy gas on odd-numbered days. Lines wrapped around the block. Drivers got up before dawn to sit in them. In the last week of February 1974, 20% of American gas stations had no fuel at all. I am not bringing that up to frighten anyone. The opposite. That is the shape of a genuine supply shock. Rationing, empty pumps, a rule about your license plate deciding your Tuesday. A 10-cent week is a different category of event. Knowing the difference is what stops a headline from setting your mood for a month. Last piece, the one that touches most of your money. When oil goes up, the thing that reaches your kitchen is mostly not the gasoline in your car. It is diesel, the trucks, the trains, the tractors, and natural gas, which is what fertilizer is made from. and it does not arrive next week. The people who study this describe a lag of about 6 months at minimum, sometimes closer to a year. The reasons are boring and completely mechanical. Grocery contracts get signed weeks or months ahead. The fertilizer for this season was bought before this season started. There is stock already sitting in warehouses that was priced under the old costs. Which gives you a genuinely strange fact. The price you paid at the supermarket this morning is mostly telling you about oil from months ago, and the number you saw on that sign this week will not really show up in your cart until well into next year. One practical note, and it is the only one in this video. Economists who study food prices point out that panic buying makes it worse. A shortage that starts as a rumor can be manufactured by the reaction to the rumor. So, that is where the money goes. Just over half to crude, priced on a global market. About a sixth to a fixed tax that has not moved since 1993. The rest to refining it and to getting it to you. It rises like a rocket and falls like a feather. It is the loudest price in your life and one of the smaller ones in your budget. And it reaches your groceries somewhere on the far side of 6 months through diesel and fertilizer. None of that changes what you pay this week. Nothing in this video will save you $1 at the pump. But it might save you something else. The next time you drive past that sign and feel the whole economy tilt, you will know exactly what you are looking at. 4 costs stacked together, most of them decided far away, arriving on a delay. You will not pay less. You will just panic less. That is it for this one. Educational only, not financial advice. Take care of yourself